there, how y'all doing? This is Weapons Tech Mac, and I'm not coming to you from deep in the heart of Texas. Matter of fact, I'm in the Tidewater. I'm aboard the USS Wisconsin. Now, we're going to do a little gun review on those little 16-inch 50 caliber Mark 7 rifles that you can see right behind me. And we'll give you kind of a little mini tour of the USS Wisconsin. As you can see, this is parked in kind of downtown Norfolk, Virginia, and it's right up against the Nauticus Museum over there, and it's all part of a really fantastic nautical Navy battleship thing. But we'll just turn you around here so you can kind of see what's going on. But this is a special pleasure for me. I'm here at the Navy reunion for the Navy Nuclear Weapons Association, and we get together every year, and this year we're on the East Coast here in Norfolk, Virginia. Some of these old boys served on board the Wisconsin. I never had the pleasure to serve aboard the Wisconsin, but it's a fascinating ship, and we'll kind of get into that. Okay, so here we are going on board the Wisconsin, coming across the gangway from the Nauticus Museum over here to the USS Wisconsin. Okay, so tonight I'm in my hotel room trying to put this thing together a little bit, and I don't have my tripod or anything like that, so I just kind of this is a whole new format, me trying to do something on the road. But I think the Wisconsin important enough, fascinating enough to do a little, what you will, gun review on it. But anyway, what I'm going to do is I'll give you the nuts and bolts of the ship. I'll probably give you just a picture of the ship or various slideshow type of pictures while I talk in the background. Yeah, that should be an interesting way. Of course, most of this was shot on site on board the Wisconsin today, and fascinating tour, I'll tell you that. So that's just kind of my beginning of the video disclaimer, if you will. And I'll tell you this, if there's some old battleship sailors out there that sailed on the Wisconsin, I probably got some things wrong. Put it down in the comments, straighten me out. Spent a lot of time on carriers, not a whole lot of time on battleships. So anyway, just trying to put this information out there, show you what I learned today, and show you what I saw today. Fascinating ship. The USS Wisconsin, or BB-64, is an Iowa-class battleship and the second ship of the United States to be named in honor of the U.S. state of Wisconsin. She was built at the Philadelphia Naval Shipyard and launched in 1943. She would be commissioned in April of 1944, and that would give her time to be able to go and participate in the last year and so of World War II. Following World War II, she would be decommissioned in 1948 and then remain in mothballs until the beginning of the Korean War, where she was recommissioned. Then, following the Korean War, a couple of years later, she was decommissioned again and remained in mothballs for almost 30 years, where she would be brought out of mothballs during the Reagan administration to be recommissioned in 1988. And then she would participate in the Gulf War and then be decommissioned in 1991. The 16-inch 50 caliber Mark 7 United States naval gun is the main armament of the Wisconsin, of course, of all Iowa-class battleships, and was the planned main armament of the canceled Montana-class battleship. Now, this particular naval gun was in service from 1943 to 1992. It saw action in World War II, Korea, Vietnam, Lebanese Civil War, and of course the Gulf War. It was designed in 1939. The length of the gun is 816 inches, or basically 68 feet. And the shell, you have an armor-piercing Mark 8 2,700-pound shell, and then they had basically a high explosive Mark 13 1,900-pound shell, and then they did have a nuclear Mark 23, which had the W-23 warhead, which was 1,900 pounds. I'll have to look up the projected yield on that, so I suppose it was probably close to 10 KT. The caliber 16-inch or 406 millimeters. Muzzle velocity for the armor piercing is 2,500 feet per second. The high explosive and nuclear round is 2,690 feet per second. Now these guns had a range of up to 24 miles or 39 kilometers. Of course, this is the max range at 24 miles, and it would take a minute and a half time in flight. Each turret each barrel could operate independently of the others. They could load and fire different elevation and different sequence. Now, basically, the loading sequence was you're bringing the shell up from the appropriate magazine, whether it's armor piercing or high capacity, up its little elevator, and it is rammed home into the breech, and then you bring up the 6 100-pound powder bags of propellant, and that's put on the cradle and rammed into the breech. Then the breech is locked, and information is given up to fire control that the barrel is ready to fire. And that's a very simplistic way of the sequence of loading and firing of it. Okay, so here we are up on the forecastle, which is for you non-Navy guys, the very pointy front end of the ship. Here you can see the anchor chain, anchor windlass, and of course a nice layout of those big, beautiful 16-inch Mark 7 rifled big boy guns, along with the little 5-inch 38s. So anyway, you can see this just sits almost right down into a residential neighborhood. But of course, links the anchor. Now this isn't some little dinky chain. You can see the size of my hand. That's pretty big links. And that's the anchor windlass up on the forecastle. Okay, so this anchor chain is, each chain's hooked to a 30,000-pound anchor on either side. Each chain link weighs 120 pounds, and the total length of the chain is 1,080 feet. Here we have our 5-inch 38 secondary guns, 5-inch dual turrets. You have 5 on either side, so you got 10 5-inch guns on either side of the ship. Of course, as outfitted in World War II, it had multiple 40 millimeter and 20 millimeter anti-aircraft guns, but getting ready for in the 1980s when it was recommissioned, they took out all those guns, either in the 60s or the 50s. But they did add the Sea Whiz phalanx system, as well as Tomahawk and Harpoon, I believe. Hey, here we are on the port side looking forward. See small secondary guns. And right there are rapid chaff launchers, I believe. Those little tubes. Then you got the various radars. Here you have the armored box launchers for the Tomahawk. Okay. You got 2 sets of 4 here, and then more over there on the starboard side. And we're on the starboard side of the ship, more armored box launchers for Tomahawk. And then there you've got Harpoon, which is mainly a surface-to-surface anti-ship missile. Okay, here we are looking at the after turret. And what now there was put in Vietnam is that helicopter deck. And of course you can see that this does have the teak wood. Back in the day I was stationed on board the Oklahoma City, which is a cruiser, little 6-inch gun cruiser, and it had teak wood decks. And as a seaman striker deckhand, we'd have to holystone those decks. Oh my God, what a job. The beam of this thing is amazing, pretty damn big. Here's the after turret and gun directors, radars, smokestack, armor box launchers. Okay, boom, 5-inch 38s. See the teak wood deck. Lay sailors a long time to holystone this stuff. Here's some example of projectiles, 16-inch. All right, so here we are from the aft end of the vessel. You see the after turret right behind me. Pretty amazing stuff. I'm on what they call a flight deck, but they modernized in 1968, or maybe it was in the 80s when they brought this back. The Wisconsin is the least used of all the 4 Iowa battleships, and so it was brought back to last. I think it was in '88, and then decommissioned last, and then brought here to Norfolk. But there she is. Of course, every ship, larger ship, have a machine shop, and the Battleship machine shop was second to none, I'll tell you that. They had some really good material, be able to turn out various parts that maybe they couldn't get. Excellent machinists. There we are in the aft galley, main cruise galley. You cook up hamburgers, steaks, hot dog, whatever the hell on this grill, and you make all kinds of mystery stuff in those things. Remember, you're cooking for several thousand guys every meal. You got the ovens. This goes from port to starboard. Covers all this area. Of course, you got the ice cream maker right there. And you have a serving line on port and a serving line on the starboard. There we have the after mess decks. This is for the regular enlisted guys. Hey, remember, you got a crew of over 1,000 on this ship, so you're going to have enough room for everybody to use. Here's your chow line. This, I think, is Broadway as it heads forward. I'm on the port side. Now, one thing any smart sailor would do when they first check Board of Command is make sure they make friends with the baker. If you got friends with the baker, you're good to go. Most every naval ship of any size has a Gita, where you can get various things, candy. Back in the day, smokes. Here was an ice cream soda jerk bar right here. And here you have a berthing compartment, and looks like it's in charge of the S5 division. And I would assume that's chief's quarters in here. Chiefs already always have it better than the usual other enlisted guys. And they have their own galley, their own stewards. So, chief's mess. There's the wardroom. This is where the officers ate. Completely different atmosphere than where the enlisted ate. And then, of course, the chiefs, they ate in a different place. So you had the 3 different eating areas. And then, of course, you'd have the admiral's galley. So, officers' wardroom encompasses the entire width of the ship. There's the typical head. You're gonna have a couple of sinks, shower, some commodes. Can't see really back into there. There's the dispersing office, mainly dealing with pay. That's another guy a sailor want to make friends with, was a dispersing clerk. Not sure if they call them that nowadays, but that's what they called them back in the day. A dispersing clerk. Make sure your pay is straight. So you make friends with a cook, a baker, and a dispersing clerk. And that makes your life aboard ship much better. Okay, every ship of any size is going to have a post office. Here you get your mail, you get your money orders, things like that. And then, of course, that wonderful mail call that didn't come all that often back in the day. Back when I was in, we didn't have no FaceTime or internet, nothing like that. It was just wait for the mail. There you can see dispersing. Outside of the post office, there's some berthing area. Crew's living space. Stack 3 high. Jammed in here. Yep. I tell you, I never slept so well at sea with the rocking and rolling ship. Every ship is marked by frame number, so you could say, okay, I'm a 2099-0 Lima, and people know where you're at, or if there's a fire or emergency, you could just call out that frame number and they'd know where to come. There's another ballistic hatch as you go down into, I believe that's down into engineering spaces. We're down there. Of course, throughout the ship, you're going to have damage control stations that have the ability to put out fires, damage control lockers, fire hoses. Come up and through here, you have these what they call knee knockers. So if you do have a little bit of water, it's not going to go through the next space. Of course, you're going to have your watertight hatches like this thing. Here you have a cable that they use to be able to, okay, so electricity was disrupted or hit, they'd be able to use that and bypass wherever it's been damaged. Of course, that's just a little ratty little small thing. Now we're on the 3rd deck, and here you can see red. You're dealing more with ordnance transfer, firefighting, things of that nature. Here you have these windlass and rails where they can actually move ammunition if they have to. Say if one of the hoists gets taken out or whatever, they'll be able to manually move this stuff the length of the ship from forward turrets to aft and the other way around. Here's a damage control station right here. Here we're inside the guts of the ship, and here's one of the barbets of one of the turrets. And of course, inside the barbet, ammunition, things of that nature. Here we are in sick bay. Each ship has at least the large vessels have a sick bay and dental office. They can pretty much do a lot of things out here at sea. All right, so there we see the Wisconsin in the background. I've now got my official Wisconsin hat. But what a great battleship to go and see. Had such a fun time. Glad to be able to be associated with these fine keepers of the dragon of the Navy Nuclear Weapon Association. So, day 2, excellent day. Okay, folks, so we're going to kind of wrap this thing up. You can see the after turret behind me, and man, what a display of American power, especially back in the day. They ain't going to detract where those freaking 16-inch projectiles are going. They're just going to hit where they're aimed at. But hey, coming to you from the Tidewater, Virginia, this is Weapons Tech Mac, and if you ever get a chance to come here, I highly recommend touring the USS Wisconsin. God bless Texas, God bless the United States, and long live the Republic.